Absolutely. So the participation rate should be announced today by the Ministry of the Interior. Now, if we look at the numbers this time 5 years ago in 2019, the voter turnout had been 43.29%. Now, this year we've already seen at midday a slight increase compared to the midday turnout back in 2019. So the 5 p.m. turnout is expected to be slightly higher. But of course, this will also vary from polling station to polling station depending on the demographic of the voters. For example, this morning we were in Saint-Denis, a suburb north of Paris, and the voter turnout this afternoon there is a mere 26%, whereas in the school behind me here in central Paris, the voter turnout at the moment is 47%. Now, the 5 p.m. Participation rate is by no means representative of the final results. A lot of polling station staff we spoke to say that the figure tends to change drastically in the hours leading up to the closure of the polling stations because there is always that influx of voters coming in at the end of the day. But a general increase in votes is expected compared to 2019 because the scale of this election this year is much bigger than it was 5 years ago. We have 2 million more registered voters than in 2019. They are voting from a record number of 38 lists with 81 names, which will be put forward for the seats in the European Parliament. And just a reminder, even the number of seats in the European Parliament has increased from 705 to 2019 to 720. So the sheer scale of this election, it could be reflected in the final results tonight, but for that we will have to wait until the official announcement from 8 p.m. Paris time.
And Liza, as you mentioned, voters in France have 38 lists to choose from. That is a huge number. Can you just briefly explain a bit about how voting works?
Yes, they will choose from 38 lists. Each list is headed by a candidate. On the list, there are 81 names which are put forward to become members of the European Parliament. It is an enormous amount of lists, and what we have noticed in polling stations here is that they do not have the complete set of the 38 lists. So some polling stations only have 20 out of 38 lists, others have 23. And this is because of the varying campaign budgets of different political parties. It costs around 1 cent to print out an individual list, and the political parties who will gain less than 3% of votes will not be reimbursed on the money they spend on campaigning. So this has really discouraged particularly the smaller political parties in printing out their lists. And this will also have an effect on people coming in to vote.